do love when we can highlight these on the show. We're going to be talking about Sometimes I Think About Dying, and this is a film directed by Rachel Lambert, stars Daisy Ridley. To set up the premise, I mean, we're following this girl named Fran, and we're kind of following her day-to-day life and her job and her home life, and it's really just a character study. Things I really enjoyed about the character of Fran is she's a really good representation of what it's like to have social anxiety and depression, and that was, I think, the goal of the movie anyway, and I enjoyed that. I mean, I gotta say, like, Daisy Ridley was absolutely spectacular in this movie. This is a very different performance for her, so I was very happy to see that. She really did, like, blend into this movie. Like, she blends into the background of this movie so well that it's like the only reason you know she's a lead is because the camera decides to focus on her more so than other people. So I would start there and just say the performance from her was absolutely spectacular, and she did a great job, and showing a lot of different ranges that I don't think we've seen from her before. But it's a very quiet, very still performance. I mean, and this movie's a very slow burn, but I think that's as intended because, again, the character of Fran, you're gonna watch her life and you're gonna see she lives a very bland life until one man, Robert, joins the office, and he's a new guy. And because he's not really with the program, he doesn't really know how everybody is. He just takes an interest in Fran like he would anybody else. The chemistry between these two was on point. I really feel that way. Like, these two did a great job together. And again, just watching Robert be this, like, really charming presence, which brought all this, like, humor to the film, opposite Fran, who's just very shy, has a lot of social anxiety. And we see throughout the film, she's very depressed. She thinks about dying constantly. And this is shown through a lot of very disturbing imagery that I thought was very interesting, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. The way that Rachel Lambert decided to use imagery, I thought was just perfect. It was at the perfect moments, the perfect timing, because when the imagery pops up of Fran thinking about death, it almost like catches you off guard, and I thought that was done extremely well. There's a sequence with the snake that I admire in this. It was just brilliant. I think for me, like, the issues that I had with the movie, if I'm going to go into that, there's a very pivotal point in this movie, and it's probably the most pivotal point in the movie. And while I enjoyed the performances of it, I just was like, okay, I could have used a little more nuance to build up to that. Could tell that the movie is very low budget in that way, where it's like they probably didn't have the time to shoot extra scenes to flesh the moment out as much as they wanted to, and so that didn't land with me very well, if I'm being honest with you. And I would also want to go into the other thing that didn't work for me, is really not the ending itself, because I thought it ended at a very poetic area, and I did enjoy the way that it built to it. More or less, like, once the movie ends, you're kind of like, I think for a lot of audience members are gonna be kind of like, oh, that's all there really is. It's just this story, and I think a lot of people are gonna be kind of put off by that. For me, like, again, I think that the film did wrap up very poetically, though. Like, and it brought, like, all the loose ends together, which I really enjoyed, because there are a lot of mystery boxes opened up from the very beginning, and you're probably gonna be like, oh, okay, like, how is this gonna play? What's the deal here?
Right.
And I thought that Rachel Lambert did a very good job being very conservative about a lot of areas where it's like, it's just giving you the right amount of information that you need to know for each scene, each moment. Like, in other films, like for example, like, I don't even know what Fran does for a living. Like, by the end of the movie, you kind of know her role at the office, but you don't really know what they do in the office. And in most films, that would be an issue, but because of the way that this movie is set up, and just like, it wants to give you just the right amount of information for each scene, and each part of the story, and it's very conservative about that. It plays very well, and the chemistry between Fran and Robert, these two characters, is very reminiscent of me of Adrian and Rocky, right? Adrian having that sort of shyness about her, and then Robert, or Rocky, right? Or Robert in this case, but it feels like Rocky is very much more outgoing. He's charming. He's got the whole office captivated by his charm, his personality, and I thought it was a very sweet relationship. And this movie is very charming, and if you've ever been through some type of depression, or even in just like a social situation where it's like, I don't belong here, and you're almost kind of like, you can relate to this, because I feel like all of us in those situations are kind of like really wanting or hoping that somebody would just come in and relate to us, and we can open up more and show a little bit more of ourselves. And I found myself relating to Fran on that level. So in that case, the movie just just does a great job. It's very charming, and I thought Rachel Lambert just did a great job with the chemistry, the relationships. Yeah, I think that this movie was really, really good. I do recommend it for everybody for the most part. Like I said, I think the biggest issue here is just a little bit of lack of nuance in certain areas. And then again, like I said, I thought the pacing was magnificent, a little bit of a slow burn, but that's okay. I think that might put some people off, but that to me was the intent, and it worked. And it's shot extremely well. The cinematography is great. The score is very reminiscent of an older time movie like A Breakfast at Tiffany's, and I found that to have so much charm into it, and I just really enjoyed that. And then I think the final aspect of it, I would say, is like, I think a lot of people are going to finish the movie and be like, okay, that's what it is. You know what I mean? Like, there's just that much there. The more I sit with it, the more I kind of like it, though, for myself. So again, really, really great job. I'm going to go ahead and give this one a must watch. Honestly, I was really charmed by this movie. Do I think it's going to end up in my top 10 of the year? Probably not. It is a really, really good movie, and it's worth your $4 rental right now.